Today I'm going to teach you step-by-step how to make this Etsy best-selling wreath. You'll find a full materials and tools list for you below in the description of this video. Let me just take a quick moment to welcome anyone new here to the channel. Stillwaters is all about step-by-step wreath making tutorials, and we've got new tutorials uploading every single week. Welcome to Stillwaters Wreath Designs. Come on in. You guys, if you have not seen this yet, it is trending like wildfire. It's called the Hanging Vine Leaves Bush by Ashland, and you can find it at Michael's. I wanted to throw in this screenshot so that you would have the item number in case you'd like to order. Okay, let me show you what these vines look like. Let's open up this box. So when you take a look at these guys, they're really heavy duty, almost like a rubber. So I feel like they're going to be super tolerant of all different types of weather. And I would say that the longest vine on this bush, seems like there's 4 stems per bush, is probably about 24 inches in length. And they do come in various lengths. Seems to be pretty heavy duty. We are going to build today's wreath on an 18-inch round grapevine. You can use any size that you wish. And of course, the first thing we need to do is clean this grapevine up. So as you probably know, if you've worked with grapevines before, there's always loose twigs and debris that are just sticking off of the wreath. So I've just grabbed my small snips. I'm going to work my way around the front and the back of this wreath and trim off all the excess bits. Also, if you've not already done so, make sure that your hot glue gun is plugged in and heating up. In case you'd like to add these small snips to your wreath making tool stash, I'll leave a link for my favorite cutters for you below in the description of this video. Okay, now that my grapevine is all cleaned, I've grabbed 4 of these bushes from Michael's, and the first thing I'm going to do is grab my cutters and trim each of the 4 stems off of the base. You guys, I am so excited to create this. This is the perfect wreath for year-round hanging. It's great for folks that like simplistic or natural looking wreaths, and so I cannot wait to put this together. This wreath consists of just 3 things, guys. We're going to use the grapevine wreath, we're going to use these greenery hanging vines with no other florals, and we're going to make a really cute bow, and that's it. I ended up needing to grab my heavier Work Pro cutters because these vines are pretty thick. Once you've trimmed off each of those stems, you want to make sure that you're leaving about 1 inch to 1.25 inches of that stem, but trimming away the rest. You want it long enough that it can anchor down nicely into your grapevine, but not so long that it pokes out the back. So we'll just take a quick minute to trim down all of those stems so they're about 1 inch in length. Okay, so now we're going to dry place all of our vines into the grapevine wreath. I'm just taking a look at the length because they come in various lengths. And basically what we're going to do is leave a hand's width section at the very top of our wreath open so that we'll have a place to attach our bow once we're finished. So we're going to figure out this spacing together, guys. I decided to start out by just staggering those vines about 3 to 4 inches apart, going back and forth between the inner and the outer area of the wreath. And once I get them all in place and I'm happy with that placement, I'll go back in and glue those bits in. As we continue to add these pretty green vines into the wreath, you can see how it's just really coming together in a nice, long, flowing, natural greenery wreath. Okay, let's finish adding in all of our greenery vines and then we'll come back in with the hot glue gun. For this bottom section, I actually cut these vines in half so that they weren't as long to blend better with the rest of the wreath, and I'm just placing them in and gluing them down. Now that I'm happy with all the placement of our vines, I'm going to come back in with my hot glue gun and just add dollops of glue onto the stems so that they stay anchored into our grapevine base. Now, I will tell you, towards the end of this design, I did hang the wreath and then come back in to add a few more vines to cover some of those bare spots. Okay, now that we've glued down all of our vines, let's go ahead and make a bow. You're going to need a standard pipe cleaner, preferably in the same color as your ribbons, a good pair of scissors, and I've just grabbed two 1.5-inch wide ribbons and one 1-inch ribbon. And I just used some neutral tans and blacks. That's what I'm choosing for my bow. And so we're just going to make a quick hand bow together here. And I'm making my tails extra long. They're about 18 inches in length because I'm going to curl them once we add the bow into the wreath. You guys, if you still struggle with bow making, I will be sure to leave a step-by-step bow making tutorial for you in the description of this video to help you with your bow. For this cream colored with black polka dot ribbon, I'm actually making 4 loops and 4 tails. With my second ribbon, I'll be making 4 more loops and 4 tails. And then I'll just be making 2 loops and 2 tails with the thin black ribbon. So in the end, this will be a 10 loop, 10 tail bow. And now I'm just securing my bow with my pipe cleaner. I'll be using a 20 gauge floral wire stem to anchor my bow into the wreath. So I'm just going to wrap that stem around the bow, give it a couple of tight twists, and then I'm going to poke those floral wires right through the grapevine base and give them a few tight twists on the back side of that wreath. Once I get that nice and attached, I'm going to grab my small wire cutters, trim off those excess bits of floral wire stems. Then I'll grab my needle nose pliers and just curl those ends back into the wreath to make sure they don't poke my customer or their door. And I'm going to add a pea-sized amount of hot glue to that for some extra protection. We'll let it dry a few minutes and then we'll flip this over and fluff out the wreath. When I fluff out my bow, I like to start at the bottom, and so I'm going to take those loops working from the bottom to the top, and I'm just going to separate them into an X pattern, and then I'm going to take those thin black polka dot ribbons and point them directly up and down and fluff out that center button. Now I'm just going to grab those tails, pull them all down, and then I'm going to just angle trim my ends. You could dovetail as well if that's your preference. Once I get these ends trimmed, I'm going to grab a cardboard insert that I keep from a leftover used roll of 10-inch deco mesh. This makes a perfect curling tool for your ribbon. Of course, you're going to want to use wired ribbon, and I just start at the bottom of the ribbon piece and curl it right towards the center of my bow, and it makes the perfect curl. You can recurl it as many times as you need until you're satisfied with that curl. If it's a little tight, just tug on it, and that will loosen the curl. You guys, this wreath is so stinking cute and so simple to make. Okay, I'm going to trim off a few more vine pieces individually so that I can add them into the bare spots. And I've decided to add one more vine on the right hand side of my bow because it was a little bare. You can make this as full as you would like. Let's hang this beauty on the door and see how it looks. I sure hope you enjoyed creating this with me today. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my little channel to grow. Thanks for spending time with me today, friends. Happy crafting.